any TV today for Kayte with us.
No, okay. Well, we got a treat last week.
She came through last week.
Yes, she did.
I'm not even going to give her any crap for it at all. We're just happy.
We got points.
We did get points.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it this week? We got to
promote the site.
I want to remind you that if you miss any or all of this interview, or by the way, if you just want to see it again, because why wouldn't you, or hear it, you can go to sactownsports.com. You can download the Sactown Sports app. You can go to the YouTube page where you should already be at and subscribing to, and you can see and hear not just Kayte, but any of our other wonderful interviews, including Jim Less, UC Davis head basketball coach from earlier. Good morning. How are you, Kayte?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good. We'll just probably spend a second on this every other week or so, but has your husband washed that mud off yet? Like, you couldn't even see them. You could not even they're like, hey everybody. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Kayte's husband's on Survivor, debuted last week. They're like, hey everybody, welcome in, tell your story, this, that, whatever. Which, by the way, can I just say, Kayte's husband featured the most in the intro. It was very Joe-centric. And then they're like, all right, welcome in, this is going to be amazing. We're going to need you to crawl under some netting through a bunch of mud and then get up this giant pole and then grab these bags off of a ring and then throw them on top of a thing so that you can have a machete. And dude was like, woo, 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 dives through it. Of course, his team wins. They get the machete and whatever. How was it watching it, Kayte, even though I know you weren't home?
I watched it. I will say I think I went to bed in Houston that night at about 5:00 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to watch it a little bit on the plane and then after we landed. So yeah, like, it was very cool. It was a long episode, 2 hours. Really cool to finally see it air. You know, you've heard stuff about the experience, but seeing it, and yeah, the mud is like notorious with the first marooning challenge, and they have a whole theory about it. It's kind of like, you know, it's your introduction to the game, and you go through the mud and you're caked with it and you're not allowed to wash it off until you get back to camp and like all this stuff. So it's pretty funny to like see it, but then like also like, yeah, like his picture was in Times Square, like people sending that. And it's like, oh my God, it's just wild to see. Just kind of like, I've been a fan forever, but I've never really social media fanned it. And it's pretty intense.
Was it a weird watch for you? I mean, like you said, you've been a fan forever, but to see your husband on it's another thing.
It was weird in the sense that I obviously know him really well. And so I could see his first couple days, I could see like, you're trying to figure people out and get your footing. And I could see like his brain working. Like, we haven't seen the comfortable version of him yet. It's, only obviously one episode in. So like, he has a wicked sense of humor, and those things, I imagine will come out a little bit more. But as he was trying to find his footing, I could see his brain kind of working and trying to like figure out his footing. Like, do I trust this person? Should I trust this person? And then obviously, it was kind of a crazy episode in the sense that, one of his tribe mates has autism and she shared it with him. And it's kind of a big storyline for the season. And so to see that moment, and it was really, really cool. Really cool.
As we move on, I do have a confession to make, because I am an idiot. So like, I was going online, like reading stuff, like what are they all saying, right? And so I think it was In Style magazine has a profile of all the Survivor contestants, and so I was reading his profile, and it's like all basic questions they have for all of them, like where were they born, what college did they go to, and then it was like, is he married? And it says underneath it, or it says Joseph is married to Kayte Christensen and has 2 children, or something like that, or whatever it said. And I went in the comments, I was like, Joseph is married to Sacramento Kings analyst Kayte Christensen. I'm just saying, you should get some props in there too, in the bio. Like, come on.
No, I mean, come on, Dave. I don't need that kind of.
I know you don't. Well, I'm in there fighting for you. I'm in there fighting for you like you don't want me to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nikola Jokic is questionable. I don't mean as like a person, just like he may not play tonight with ankle inflammation. And let's just assume he's playing, because if he's not, obviously it's a whole different Donahue. Nobody is stopping Nikola Jokic. You're probably not even containing him. But how can Jonas Valanciunas and also Doug Christie and that team defense, how can they help try to contain him?
You don't really. I mean, to be honest, you don't really try to contain him. You make him work and you be physical with him. But I think when there's certain players in the league, and he certainly is one of them. Giannis is one of them. I mean, Jason Tatum. You can go down the list. There's superstars in this league. And the best you can do is really try to make them work, be physical with them, try to be a nuisance. But to me, when you're playing those teams, it's more about if you're able to kind of lock down on some of the periphery players. Don't let anyone else go off and have a big night. Obviously Jamal Murray is a big one. Those two are pretty consistent and really good when they're playing together, but it's the other guys that really matter. But, you look at it, their injury report today is a mile long. They've got, of course, their G League guys aren't playing, but they've got, I think, 4 or 5 guys that are listed as questionable coming into tonight, Aaron Gordon being one of them. But, you've got Russell Westbrook, who is always, I feel like, kind of a wild card in terms of what you're going to get from him. And he can go off and have a really, really big night, I think. But if you can, specifically him or Christian Brown, I think if you can get those two and kind of make them have a difficult night and not let them really, contribute in a big way from a scoring perspective, I think that's going to, really help with your game plan.
Kayte, as we look at the last couple games here, specifically in the win streak, I could hear the critics say, well, it was Charlotte, it was Utah, it was a depleted Dallas team, really a good win against Houston. But what stood out to me is the numbers they've allowed points. I mean, 88 to Charlotte, 103, I think is the high in this stretch. The defense looks like it's better. You're there. What are you seeing on that side that's showing this improvement?
Yeah, I talked about it a bit in the Dallas game, and really it is kind of that 3-game stretch where it feels like defensively, and really now 4 after the completion of that Dallas game, it feels like defensively they've just amped up their pressure. They're doing a really great job of having multiple efforts, and you see like they've had a lot of steals and blocks during this stretch, and a lot of that has to do with Valanciunas as well as Keon Ellis and what they do. But when you look at, Keegan Murray has been fantastic. Trey Lyles to me has been fantastic. It's like you might get a block from the front, but you had 2 people coming as a rear view contest. I mean, they're surrounding guys and really making them feel a lot of pressure, nothing coming easy. And to me, it's just the multiple efforts. It's the constant rotations and swinging and like making sure that you're kind of being physical and being, kind of a pest on the defensive end, and then being able to close it out with a rebound. I mean, that's the big one. So it's been a really good stretch defensively. And I've always been, of the mind, defense is an effort-based thing. I mean, you're never going to get it right 100% of the time, but if you give a consistent effort every possession, you're going to make it difficult. You're going to make them feel uncomfortable. They're going to get baskets on you, and they'll have possessions where, you're just going to make a mistake. But if you do that as consistently as possible over 48 minutes, more times than not, it's going to turn in your favor.
Kayte, talk about peel screens, if you would. I was talking to some Kings folk trying to get educated on the difference. And we've been talking, Jason and I, and many people, about how, not a lot of we're not overrun with amazing individual defenders, Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, etc. But if anybody can understand applying team defense, it's Doug Christie. And as Jason mentioned, you guys were just talking about, you saw a lot of that. And I kept hearing peel screens, and the ability to trust and communicate with your teammates behind you, and that philosophy takes a lot of trust and accountability. It seems like they were pulling that off a lot the last couple games.
Well, I think because there's so much screen action in the NBA. I mean, it's heavy screen action. There's only a couple teams really that don't use a heavy dose of screen action. It's Oklahoma City and it's Memphis. They really try to spread the floor and just allow one-on-one opportunities, and that's their style, and that's it works for them. Obviously, both teams doing really well. They've got the personnel for it, but the solution to any kind of screen action in the league, it's really about stunting. So being in the right place when you're off ball and just being able to take a step towards the ball, put a hand out, close that gap a little bit, that lane. It gives, all you need is like 1 or 2 steps. It's a split second thing so that the person involved in the screen action has a moment to recover. And then everyone else has got to rotate back to their man, right? And when you do it, it's also about kind of having active high hands. And you'll see a lot of the times when the Kings are getting deflections or even steals, it might be on a recovery from helping on screen action, and then they're trying to kick it to the open person, whether it's the corner or on the wing, and just like as you're recovering, having high hands, and you can get a lot of deflections that way. And, we talk about steals all the time. Obviously, great thing to be able to steal the ball on defense, but deflections are critical to me because it gives everyone that extra second to be able to recover, and it makes your offense feel like nothing is clean, right? Like you're not getting clean catches, you're not getting the quick snap drives because of it. And so it kind of bottles you up a little bit in the sense of lacking a true flow to your offense. So, everybody kind of does it and defends it in different ways. And the difference is that you're going to defend screens differently throughout the course of the game. Because you got to change it up. You can't give them a healthy diet of anything because these players are really smart. They will figure out how to get an advantage. So, the Kings, from what I've noticed, is they'll do a lot of kind of, playing it maybe very similar throughout 3 quarters. And then in the 4th quarter, they completely give you a different look. They'll start blitzing, and they'll start blitzing as soon as you come over half court, or they'll blitz as soon as you get to the sideline. And those things can really, discombobulate a team just enough for you to be able to really, put them on their heels.
That's Kayte Christensen. She will be on the broadcast tonight versus Denver. Kings looking to extend their lead and sneak ever so closer to that 6th seed. Have a good call, Kayte. Thank you, and have a safe trip home.
Yeah, you guys, we'll talk to you next week.
All
Sounds
right,
good. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That is Kayte. We'll take a break. When we come back, toughest games remaining for your Sacramento Kings. We've got that.
Lots of them.
A lot.